this week and his experiences with it.
Oh yeah, he just keeps going on and on about this deck, and for good reason. But according to many, Consistent's best deck in the format.
Yeah, it has taken, I think it's been a while, but right now it certainly is the deck that holds that mantle. Now, Todd and Jeskai Black, now that he's back to working with Jerry on deck lists, you have to know that his mastery of Jeskai Black is only going to get better here.
Mm-hmm. Wonder if we're going to see Michael Majors fetch a land face down here.
Well, Todd's not going to give him the time to do it.
Yeah, may as well just put it face up at this point. Todd's got nothing going on.
Todd's developing the mana base, Mystic Monastery and Smoldering Marsh. That'll set up all 4 of his colors.
Here's a turn 2 Elvish Visionary. Could have been a Palace Familiar. Saw a blue source.
I don't think he can fetch a blue source off Windswept Heath.
Not with that one. You know, from that start.
Michael Majors going for the elf over the owl.
Drawing a card right away. No blockers out of Todd yet, so.
See, now Todd can just kill the Visionary with no penalty.
Exactly.
And doesn't even fly.
No penalty.
No penalty. There's no drawback to the card. All right, we'll go back over to Todd. He's going to fetch for a 3rd land. Looks like he may have a play. Now, of course, if you know with Todd Anderson with his Jeskai Black decks, certainly takes a more controlling role. You're not going to see any copies of Mantis Rider, for example, in his deck. There'll be a 2nd one and a Jace. Fetching there for the land, wanting to leave up 1 mana. He goes for a black-red.
Yep, that's interesting. He's got a Fiery Impulse in play. Probably not aiming at an Elvish Visionary, but if Majors does something here like untap and play a Jace, you'll definitely want to have the kill spell on the ready for that.
See, how bad is it here? Look, Jace can block Elvish Visionary right now. That is 1 point of damage.
Yeah. Also,
you know what card Jace doesn't block.
Also, if Majors untapped and played Palace Familiar, then that Fiery Impulse would look pretty bad, wouldn't it?
It would. I mean, that's the point.
I suppose this 2/3 creature makes it look pretty bad, too.
Because it looks really good now otherwise. It is going to be Catacomb Sifter for Majors. It'll bring along a Scion.
Solid start for Majors. Basically what this deck does every time. Hope to have a 2-drop, hope to have a 3-drop, figure it out from there.
It doesn't even, I never feel like it even matters what the name of the 2 and 3 is. You know, as long as you have some, then you're on pace.
You would, of course, prefer Palace Familiar, but, you know, you take what you get.
Would have been a great thought to a Reflector Mage there, actually, if you'd had it.
Yeah, I'd probably jump on that play.
Seems like it's always a good spot for Reflector Mage in every game we're watching. It's
every game, all the time.
Card's really good. 4th land for Todd, he'll pass. Leaving up that Jace.
Yep. No reason to loot aggressively here. He's already got his land.
Draws Evolving Wilds for Majors. Look at the other cards in hand. He has a Rally the Ancestors, a Nantuko Husk, some number of lands.
Checklist card. Is he playing Liliana anymore? He said he didn't love Liliana last weekend.
No, it's just Jace.
Okay, so it's all Jace all the time.
Here's attack, and yep, Jace is going to block Elvish Visionary.
Yeah, you got to go for it,
damage,
though.
Yeah.
You know, he's got 2 1/1s, too. It's not even just a chump check. That's just damage. Current board position actually no different than if he had Palace Familiar for damage.
Yeah, it is actually the same amount of damage. But there's the insult here. It's that he's blocking the Elvish Visionary. We'll see what Major's follow-up is here.
Smells like a Jace.
Choosing between Jace and Husk. Looks like he's actually going to go for the Nantuko Husk. There's a lot of fodder on the board for the Husk. It seems unlikely that Todd will be able to burn it out. Now, one thing I'll say I'm excited about here is Todd's going to go ahead and Crackling Doom on Majors' end step.
Mm-hmm. Definitely possible that Majors is not playing Jace here just because he expects Todd to have a Fiery Impulse. There's been no real good window to cast it at this stage in the game.
So with Crackling Doom on the stack, Majors is sacking the Scion token to Scry. He'll keep on top, and then he'll bin the Catacomb Sifter. And here is a Jace. So that was actually not on end step. We appear to be in Majors' 2nd main phase.
I'm not entirely sure I understand that. I suppose dooming in response to... I don't know.
This may have all been done with an Nantuko Husk on the stack, so that Majors didn't get any options.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's actually the play. It does mean, though, that because it was there instead of end step, Major didn't get a choice as to what to sacrifice, but at the same time, it meant the Major got to cast Jace.
Right.
Now, there's the part about this game for Todd. If you look at what he's building up toward, you see land 5 there. I was going to say he was building up toward Chandra. Now, Jace is going to go ahead and change that plan. He'll discard away the Chandra.
I thought they were friends.
They did. They teamed up to defeat the Eldrazi.
Yeah, I'd call a flavor judge on that discard.
Fiery Impulse, a Treasure Cruise in Todd's hand.
I suppose it's just true in this matchup that your opponent's always going to be able to block the 3/1s off of Chandra if they matter, and the sweeper doesn't really matter because it means you're tapped out and they can probably just kill you with Rally.
Yeah, well, the sweeper would matter if Nantuko Husk wasn't on the board, but it's a particularly bad sweeper against that card. Here's Jace. It'll loot away a Bloodstained Mire and flip. And now Todd will start pointing spells at creatures. This is going to be Fiery Impulse on Jace. That one's just for 2, but that's enough. He pumps Nantuko Husk.
And we saw Majors was playing the San Diego Comic-Con Jace, the blacked out version, because he is not a fan of his opponents reading his cards.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a great strategic choice for him.
So we got a Treasure Cruise going on here. Todd going to draw 3 cards. Always happy to cast that one.
A little bit of catch here. Todd fetching for a battle land. Believe that one's going to come into play tapped for him. There we go. Treasure Cruise still to cast. He's leaving Fiery Impulse in the yard. I think this is a tough situation for Todd. I believe he wanted to leave up Disdainful Stroke.
Yeah, that definitely does change things. Collected Company here could punish him for this sequencing.
It'll depend, yeah, how the judge wants to back up. I think you either can back him up to when the fetch happened in the tap, or depending on the judge's call, or they just make him tap the land. The land does have to be tapped here. So he'll have 1 man up. Now, he still does have the possibility to dispel off the Mystic Monastery. And it's not clear. Yeah, she made him. The resolution was he had to tap the land. And to be clear, I'm not positive that it's not really a great board for Rally. I think he shields down to Collected Company as a result.
Yep, that would be the big one here. Though it looks like Majors has the Rally. Unclear if he has a Company. Still off second white for the Rally, and pretty far off of a relevant graveyard.
Yeah, it looks like this one isn't going to matter. Major still has to build up. So it will be a Grim Haruspex for Michael Majors.
That is a good one.
If that 2 on the board shows that the Jace activated ability has targeted Nantuko Husk.
Neat. Good for clarity's sake.
Your Haruspex is going to... It makes things tougher on Todd, especially if he's going on a game plan of trying to kill lots of different creatures. Majors will play CDC's Faithful with no exploit.
That's interesting.
Well, I think the idea would be that if he just wants to load up the graveyard with creatures, I mean, he can cash that in for a card whenever he wants, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like a Palace Familiar.
Well, I'll go ahead and do that. Nantuko Husk now up to a 2/4. He draws a card. It's a copy of Reflector Mage.
I suppose he definitely knows Todd's deck list, right? These guys are pretty good friends, so he's not expecting to get a lot of value out of that Sidisi's Faithful.
Yeah, there's not much in Todd's deck, especially now that Jace has flipped, that really needs to be CDC's Faithful.
Does have 1 Kalitas in the deck, but if he had it in hand, you probably would have seen it already, though he did just draw 3 cards off Treasure Cruise.
Yeah, so Michael Majors on his turn, he swung at Jace. Elvish Visionary was eaten by Nantuko Husk, so Jace is down to 2. Majors got to draw a card off it as well.
There's the face down fetch.
There we go, fetch from Majors. We'll see what it is in a second. Fiery Impulse on Todd's turn, taking care of the Grim Haruspex, and now Roast will finish off Major's board. So Husk in the yard.
Todd's probably feeling pretty good about his position here. He has a Planeswalker, a very good Planeswalker, and Majors has lands.
Yeah, good Planeswalker on Todd's side. He also has the counterspell if Majors tries to rally some Ancestors.
And looks like we might be seeing a fetch and a rally on the upkeep here. Perhaps not.
Yeah, Todd's going to go ahead and draw.
Just saving time again.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure he thinks his graveyard is actually good enough to go for a rally just yet. It will be a value rally, you know. Which is fine. He does have a Grim Haruspex and a Nantuko Husk, so that's not a horrible play on Majors' part.
Yeah, he's got a Sifter as well, right? So he can stagger some Scry and draw triggers. I like going for it in response to Treasure Cruise.
Sure.
Obviously didn't work out.
Yeah, so as a result, Todd's going to get to draw 3, rally not working. Jace up to 4, and he'll pass. Michael Majors, land and go. That rally was most of his game plan.
Yep, and I believe that Todd just picked up a Kalitas.
So Kalitas will be powerful. Now Todd is looking, he needs to find, I believe, another counterspell before he can start resting on his heels here.
Yeah.
The second rally is still all sorts of problems.
He is playing well above average mana for a Treasure Cruise here.
Draws 3 cards, gets a Painful Truths and a Fiery Impulse off it. That was that Treasure Cruise flashback off Jace.
Has anybody ever spent 8 mana on Treasure Cruise? Did Todd just set the world record?
It's happened. I mean, I've seen Treasure Cruises cast with a Rest in Peace in play. It's not good, though. That's not a good rate.
No. That is twice the mana of Concentrate, though it is more lenient on the type of colors you can spend on it.
Yeah, you can splash for the 8 mana Treasure Cruise, which you can't do for Concentrate. Murderous cut the draw for Todd.
It's got Shambling Vent hanging out there. It's got Kalitas. It's ready to start beating down.
All right, so here's Kalitas. 3/4 lifelink in play. Its first ability you mentioned, so good against Rally. Now Majors' graveyard's already pretty well stocked. And with Reflector Mage in hand, may not get to do that much damage. Big draw for Majors, though. He's found a copy of Rally the Ancestors.
Trick is getting it to stick.
And Reflector Mage will go for Kalitas. And with the trigger on, Todd's going to Murderous cut it.
This might not work out great for Todd. It is still looking like just a value rally. You know, he's not just going to die, but Majors is looking to pick up a whole bunch of cards here.
Yeah, certainly. This is going to be big.
There's also a Sidisi's Faithful, which can be used to bounce the Kalitas with the Murderous Cut on the stack, which will enable him to put the Reflector Mage in his graveyard and not give Todd a zombie.
So here we go. Rally the Ancestors for 3. It's going to be Nantuko Husk, Grim Haruspex, Elvish Visionary, Sidisi's Faithful, Jace Prodigy, and Catacomb Sifter all in play. So 7 creatures here. They're all into play. Now we're still back with the Murderous Cut on the stack. Major's doing this in response because I believe he wants to, well, I would say draw a card. Now, he can't actually draw a card right now because the Kalitas is still in play. So Elvish Visionary will get exiled and Todd will get a zombie. I think a misstep there on Majors' side.
Was that being sacrificed to Husk, or was that being exploited? Apparently it was not being exploited.
Yeah. Well, I believe it was being exploited to bounce the Reflector Mage to his hand. And now the Reflector Mage trigger is going to bounce the Kalitas.
Okay. Oh, right. Fair. So we lose the Visionary there. Not sure if it matters a ton.
You're either losing the Visionary or you're losing the Reflector Mage. You can pick which one.
Mm-hmm.
So in that situation, Majors' play makes sense. Now he's going to cast a Sidisi's Faithful from hand, bouncing the zombie token, and here the deck's going to start going off.
Oh, yeah.
It's an exploit, and now these exploits all draw cards off thanks to Grim Haruspex. There's Jace.
Yep, and in the end of all this, that Husk and the Haruspex are going to enable him to draw some cards, scry, a whole bunch, and then the Jace is going to stick around as a Planeswalker when all is said and done.
Yeah, on upkeep, he can activate the Jace to flip it, and it'll stick. It will because it transforms.
Also, because a previous rally was Disdainful Stroked, it's still in the graveyard. It only exiles it when it resolves.
And Painful Truths for 3 from Todd. He'll go down to 10. But Majors' deck is online, and resources are gassed up here. This is going to be a tough one for Todd, even with all these cards. And he's resolved 2 Treasure Cruises and a Painful Truths.
Yeah. Plus 9 cards, looking like it's possibly not good enough.
Well, yeah, I mean, Michael's is plus more than 9 cards, right? This is...
Yeah.
I don't know how to quantify it exactly because
yeah, I lost count.
Yeah.
I can count to 9. I even have a finger to spare.
All right, well, we're in upkeep for Majors. Jace will loot. And then it will flip into the Planeswalker. Now these creatures are all about to be exiled on the upkeep from Rally of the Ancestors, and we're underway. Majors is going to start drawing cards with them. Scry, then draw. Now it's just a draw. He's sacrificing the Sifter. He hasn't decided how he wants to do, whether he wants to sack both these guys or get one more draw. He's going to go ahead and sacrifice both of them, and then still during upkeep, Todd will utter end away the Jace.
All right, that was certainly good for Todd. Loses access to that rally in the graveyard this way.
Planeswalker exiled. And now a draw for Majors, but a full grip on Michael's side.
There's at least one Collected Company hanging out.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of spells. He's got that Reflector Mage that he bounced to his hand, a Collected Company. He'll start off on that. Nantuko Husk, Catacomb Sifter, Elvish Visionary, Sidisi's Faithful. Tons of options for Majors.
Yeah, those are some good finds.
Well, he still hasn't found the Zulaport Cutthroats yet.
Right.
And that's the one part of the combo that he's missing.
Yeah, he wants the way to actually end the game. Drawing cards is great. Todd's doing it too. Everybody loves drawing cards. But eventually you actually have to win the game.
Husk and Catacomb Sifter were selected. Reflector Mage will bounce the Jace.
Might as well.
A Scion will swing in at Todd's Planeswalker that's on the board. An important 1 damage, actually, is that'll put Jace down to 2, taking away Todd's ability to flash back.
Mm-hmm. Follow-up Jace for Majors.
Actually, looks like that one was shrunk, I believe, so Jace staying at 3. So back over to Todd, facing once again an army on Michael Majors' side.
Calling it an army is pretty generous.
Well, it's a lot of numbers.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of an organized militia.
It's a coalition of wizards, zombies, and drones. Well, here's Kalidas. That's a start. Now, Todd doesn't actually have many true sweepers. If he wants to try to get through these, he's going to have to just grind his way through them, I believe, with kill spells.
Yep. He has drawn a lot of cards, so he's probably got a couple of those at the ready.
Yeah, his one sweeper is that copy of Chandra Flamecaller in the main, but he has already looted and exiled that one away.
Yep, can't flash that one back. He has at least a Fiery Impulse. Yeah, like getting Jace there.
And that's, yeah. Strong player, that's, remember, is going to exile and give Todd zombies.
Exile, give zombies, remove Major's access to that Rally of the Ancestors in graveyard. Lot to like about that play.
Jace -3. Looks like flashback will be given to Painful Truths. Todd needing more cards.
It's never enough for him.
I mean, you look at his life total. He's starting to get in danger of being damaged out of the game.
That is true.
Here's Crackling Doom. Nantuko Husk is dead. Remember, and now Todd gets another 2/2. Interesting line here. So had Majors not sacrificed Nantuko the Jace to Nantuko Husk, he would have had options as to what to get rid of to Crackling Doom. But because the Husk was already a 4/4, he was forced to choose it.
He still has a Husk in the graveyard, right? Because he sacked it after the first Rayleigh. So
Yes.
it's possible that the second Husk just seems kind of irrelevant to him anyway. The Sifter at least possibly affords some scry triggers here.
Well, here's a collected company from Majors. Has choices between Nantuko Husk, Slooper Cutthroat, and Eiley, the Eternal Pilgrim. Go with Husk and Cutthroat. But he'll need to get rid of Kalidas if he wants this to combo out.
Absolutely. Cutthroat's a good find. I mean, it's exactly what he needed. Todd is at 6. But yeah, you still have to get rid of that Kalidas. Majors is pretty far off of being able to use Ailey to exile permanents. He's going to have to gain 20 life here first. That's no small task.
If he can gain 20 life, he's probably dealing Todd at least 6 in the process.
I would imagine so. Yeah, it's not a realistic possibility. I'm just saying it's what he has to do.
Yeah, I mean, Ailey's very interesting in this deck in that she's really just there for another sacrifice outlet with bonus upside.
Yep, survives flaying tendrils as well, which is another reason to like it.
Well, here's another collected company from Majors, and this time we're going to get the Reflector Mage. And he says, Reflector Mage bounces a Kalitas, then 2 Cutthroats, and this Husk. That'll get you.
Demonstrates his ability to both remember his trigger and count to 6.
He demonstrates that he's done well, though. So Michael Majors takes game 1 over Todd Anderson. In a pretty close one there. I took a timely draw there of Rally the Ancestors for Majors to get that.
Absolutely.
So go ahead, and we'll start at the sideboards then. On Todd Anderson's side, he is down a game. His sideboard, 2 copies of Arishan Cleric, 3 Radiant Flames, another Kalidas. That one seems like he'll be using it. 2 Negate, 2 Roast, 1 Erase, 1 Monastery Mentor, and then 3 copies of Infinite Obliteration.
So I know for a fact that there are different camps on this card. I discussed that earlier. I know that Michael Majors does not care if his opponent casts Infinite Obliteration. His strategy post-sideboard, especially against blue decks, he's trimming on the number of copies of specific cards in his deck. So he's going down to like maybe 2 or 3 copies of a lot of his relevant creatures, which is just part of his sideboard plan. It also stems the damage that could be dealt with an Infinite Obliteration. Whether or not Todd likes them in the matchup, I don't know. You know, they do work together. Anyway, the negates are a slam dunk once again. You really want that counter Collected Company and Rally the Ancestors. Cletus is great. Radiant Flames presumably coming in. Another sweeper.
Yeah, over on Majors' side, he's got a copy of Fleshbag Marauder, a Merciless Executioner, 3 Arishan Clerics, 3 Dispel, 2 Hallowed Moonlight, 2 Duress, and 3 Murderous Cut.
I think we got a guarantee of Dispels and Duresses.
That seems excellent here. Especially they're going to be fighting some counter wars over those companies and rallies.
Absolutely, and sometimes you just Duress and you know the coast is clear no matter what you take. The rest of the cards could go either way on. The Fleshbag Marauder does not seem good. Merciless Executioner, not so much. They do trade 1 for 1 with Kalidas. That is worth noting. Whether or not he likes them, it remains to be seen. Murderous Cut kills Kalidas. That's something. And whether or not you know that Todd's going to have Monastery Mentor in the deck, you can stop him from running away with a game on the beatdown plan. It's worth considering.
At 12th and 14th, Todd Anderson and Michael Majors both making a push for that trip to the Players' Championship. We look at our leaderboard. We are 3 events in here. We talked about how Jeff Hoagland, the first player to really distance himself from the pack at 89 points. All top 16 finishes so far this weekend. But as we look to page 2, both of them are in the wings here, trying to get one of those 3 at-large spots. So how this works, this is different from last year's. The points are accumulated on a seasonal basis. So when we look at, there's 3 each season, the top 3 players get an invite, as well as the players at the end who get the most over all of 2016. So see 39 and 37 there. Todd and Michael Majors both in the conversation. They're in the pack, but would need a big finish here to really push themselves into the top of that leaderboard.
Absolutely, and these are positions that top 8 or no, one way or the other, they want to hold on to this top 16 position. Those buys in these tournaments mean so much for this race.
Yeah, but absolutely. So both of them just coming off buys here. We'll go ahead and bring back into the match here between the 2 of them.
Looks like we missed a little bit of action. Nothing too exciting. We got a Jace.
Yeah, Todd down a game does have the turn 2 Jace. You see both players really picking up the tempo here. They're aware that if this goes to a third game, they're going to need time.
Yeah, they only have 25 minutes left. And rounds, I believe, are 50 minutes. And that means in one game out of 3 possible, they use half the time. Check my math on that. You're the statistician, but
if they spend that much on the next 2 games, they're gonna go over.
yeah, they'll be in round 3. They'll miss their round.
Oh, that's way worse than I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Painful truths for Todd, gassing back up again. And one of the things I like about Todd's Jeskai deck is how much he's just on cheap kill spells and lots of card draw, more so than a lot of Jeskai builds.
Yeah, definitely. Helps a lot against this deck. Helps against the Tarka Red. Seems great against Blue-Red Prowess. Great meta game call.
Merciless Executioner is the play for Majors. Todd will go ahead and loot with the Jace before it hits the bin. Not able to flip there. He did not have a stocked enough graveyard. But Todd will have the turn 4 play of Kalitas. And with Kalitas on an empty board, this is threatening already.
Oh, yeah. That is exactly what you want to be doing. Certainly would have preferred that his Jace lived, but turn 3 Painful Truths, turn 4 Kalitas, both great things.
Go back to Majors. Does look like he has a copy of Fleshbag Marauder in hand. So he'll be able to answer the Kalitas if he cares to.
Gonna go ahead and fetch first.
So the idea with Kalitas then, flavor-wise, as a vampire, is that he's just reanimating all the creatures as they die, and that's why they're not hitting the graveyard. It's like somehow, you know, if a creature were to be exiled instead he just turns them into zombies. I wasn't aware that vampires made zombies.
It depends, you know. A vampire, in most lores, in order to turn another creature into a vampire, you have to make them consume your vampire blood.
Okay.
If it's a universe with zombies, all you have to do is kill them. You don't have a lot of time to make a bunch of people drink your blood, right?
So if I just kill them and I'm a vampire, then they turn into a zombie? They turn into a null or something like that?
That is more of a mechanic of the universe, right? Does the universe have zombies? This one obviously does. So, you know, that's a little bit more uncertain.
Okay, but that's why they're not going to the graveyard. It's because instead they're becoming zombies.
I can tell you why they are not vampires. I cannot tell you why they are zombies.
Murderous Cut took care of Kalitas. Fiery Impulse attempted to take care of Jace, but Majors was at the ready with Dispel, which means he'll get some loots off with the 0-2.
Interesting thing happened last turn is Majors delved away a lot of his graveyard. I believe that he got rid of that first Fleshbag Marauder that he cast, the Merciless Executioner, rather. Just to be efficient with his mana. I wonder if he's going to miss that guy in his guard.
I mean, it certainly means that he's paying a cost for the removal spell, right? He's giving up creatures in his graveyard is not free.
No. Certainly that creature.
Catacomb Sifter for Majors, and a big answer for Todd. It's Radiant Flames. You look at Majors' graveyard, not big enough to flip the Jace, so everybody hits the bin. A pair of Scries for Majors.
Doesn't like 1, doesn't like 2.
And now Todd, he wants to be the man with the Jace. That'll be his remaining play. And this game of just trading removal spells for creatures, if you're a Todd Anderson fan, this is how you're drawing it up. It's slow but methodical.
Yep, absolutely. Now it's just a matter of making sure that Majors does not steal the game with any of his powerful instants.
Reflector Mage bounces the Jace back. Here's Zulaport Cutthroat for Michael.
Yep, seems good.
Todd's hand a little heavy on card, long on card advantage.
Yeah.
He plays Kalitas and he will cut away the Reflector Mage.
Ooh, gets that zombie right away.
Yeah, exiles it, gets a 2-2. Big play there for Todd.
Yeah, the reason to go for Reflector Mage over the Cutthroat there is now, you know, the Cutthroat has the ability to win the game, but only when creatures can die. And the Reflector Mage getting that exile will stop it from ever bouncing that Kalitas.
It does, yeah, it takes away the rally out here.
It is a decision. I don't think that Todd made the decision lightly, but that's his reasoning there.
And now he'll gas up again. Painful Truths. Nets 3 more cards to Todd. Fiery Impulse, Treasure Cruise, Soulfire, Grandmaster. Todd set to draw as many cards as he wants to in these upcoming turns.
Yeah, he gains 3 life back with Kalitas. It's free.
It's free. He has like another copy of Painful Truths, 2 more copies of Treasure Cruise in hand.
He might deck himself.
Yeah, it's too much. It's too much. You can't draw this many cards.
Doesn't even have to discard. How lucky.
Cedric Phillips coming by. He's on the scoreboard after round 3.
Got him.
Picking up a win. Zulpo Cutthroat's that's going to go ahead and swing for Majors. Reflector Mage was a draw.
It's strong. Now he's another one. Todd suggests the bounce of the zombie token. Oh, there it goes.
No, it's going to go. He's setting up for Flashback Marauder.
Flashback Marauder got him.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Oh, so he's Todd's going to go ahead and exile that Reflector Mage before that happens. That's
This is a
for
huge
Todd.
blowout. So Fiery Impulse, wow, takes care of a Reflector Mage. But more importantly, nets Todd a zombie. So Flashback Marauder can't get Todd to sacrifice the Kalitas.
Yeah, big turn of events there.
You see, there was a shortcutting why Todd still has a zombie in play. So he sacks the zombie, and then when Michael Major sacrifices a creature, Todd re-gets another zombie.
And they're picking it up. Smart to just wrap things up here.
Yeah,
that game took considerably less time.
Yeah, well, you see a shortcut from Todd there. I think both players knew that play sealed up the game. So Todd shows his hand, says, hey, I'm going to get this one. It might take a little bit, but Michael Majors agrees with it, and they're going to go on to game 3 with a healthy 19 minutes still remaining in the round.
Yep, writing's on the wall. Day 1, a draw is pretty comparable to a loss.
And it was a very strong demonstration there by Todd. Having Kalitas out in play early, able to protect it and just continue to kind of lay down kill spells until the Kalitas was able to take the game.
Yep, and for as many cards as Todd drew there, I did not, as far as I saw, see any copies of Infinite Obliteration. I have to imagine that he just does not have it in.
Yeah, I think you're right as well. I know that he plays this heavy Infinite Obliteration package for Eldrazi Ramp. I mean, it's matched up its best in. But you do see some MC players, especially in a Jace, a Soulfire Grandmaster deck, try to obliterate out the Rally deck. Todd on a different game plan here. And how much of that do you think is because of the printing of a card like Kalitas?
Kalitas was huge. You saw how much he took advantage of just having Kalitas and leaving up removal. He's able to exile so many creatures that way. Why would he guess ones that may or may not be in your hand, you know? Why would you target the deck when there's so many ones that you can just kill that are in play? Get some zombies for your trouble.
Yeah. So Star City Games, with our creature collection, we're always adding new things you can get. Our newest addition available now is the Zebra. So you can get this on your playmats, on your sleeves, and in different bundles. They are now available for purchase. They're illustrated by Star City's Andrea Ray deck. You can get these at starcitygames.com/creature collection.
I believe that there's still a bit of a conversation going on as far as naming the Zebra. Andy Boswell initially suggested calling it Zachariah. Patrick Sullivan suggested a more gender-neutral name.
Okay.
I like
because we don't know the gender of the zebra.
Right. I like Striper myself.
Oh, that's good. All right.
Striper, no striping.
All right. Thank you. All right. Michael Majors on the play for game number 3 between him and Todd Anderson. First round for both players off buys. Quickly going to go through speed through these early turns.
Yep, you just got it. There's nothing that really matters that's going on here. Just do it fast.
So, Zebra is one of my favorite arts. You know the card Zebra Unicorn. You know that one?
I do.
It's beautiful.
Is it a zebra on the original art of Master Decoy?
So no. So it's exactly what you'd think it was. Well, Todd's gonna see it's a zebra and a unicorn. It's
no
not
surprises.
complicated. And I like the giant red circle. I don't know why that's going on there, but it's excellent.
It really brings out the black and the white. You can really see that. You need a solid background with some contrast. No neutral colors. Duress
from Todd Anderson takes care of Collected Company. It leaves Majors with an interesting hand. 2 copies of Murderous Cut and 1 copy of Rally the Ancestors.
Yeah, so he has brought in the Murderous Cuts, and as we saw in game 2, Kalitas was just the whole game. Being able to answer that is everything. He also uses it to Jace. One thing that Majors really likes in just any matchup where Jace is involved, Jace Advantage is something that he stresses very much. So happens that it's, at least according to him and according to a lot of people as well, it's just the best card in Standard. So if you can find a way to have Jace when your opponent does not have Jace, you should do that.
Yeah, Jace is great. If I had to play a 2-mana creature in Constructed, I could get behind Jace.
What are your thoughts on Palace Familiar?
I mean, I really wish we weren't playing creatures, you know, but as long, like, that one's okay. I mean, he's like an honorary spell, right?
Yeah, it's practically a spell.
It's gain some number of life, draw a card. I can do that.
Jace is practically 3 spells.
Yeah, that's why I like him more.
Yeah, I suppose
familiar.
he doesn't have flying, so, you know, there's ups and downs.
Todd casting Painful Truth, gassing up here. Means he'll be lower on life for this game. Majors will swings the team and follows up with his own Jace.
Strong start. Todd really wants to have a Radiant Flames.
Yeah, I was going to say, you got to be worried about that, and Todd has it. Here's Radiant Flames. That'll take care of the team.
Gonna see some Scry in action. Looks like Majors has a rally. Doesn't have a second white and has a pretty mundane graveyard.
Well, that's the danger I would think of the hand, like 2 Murderous Cuts and Rally, and Todd gets to know this, is that yes, that hand deals with Kalitas. That's great, and that's how Michael lost to the last game. But the problem is if Todd just plays a general game plan of, hey, some kill spells, some card draw, and just doesn't present threats of his own, Majors' hand is not well equipped to deal with that.
Yeah, Todd's slow, but he will get you eventually. You have to be proactive at some point. And, you know, he had start with some beat downs, but Todd's more than equipped to deal with it. Majors thought for a while on whether or not to keep this Flooded Strand on top. Ultimately, yep, I guess he's even going to cast a Rally. Having that mana for that is going to be important at some point, so why not now?
Yeah, I mean, he got that second white and cast a very low-impact Rally. This is just Jace and Catacomb Sifter again. I think there's some concern here that if he didn't cast this Rally now, that it was going to meet up with a counter spell.
Yep. Absolutely true. This way, you know, you get to scry, you get to keep a Jace Planeswalker, and you have a Collected Company in your graveyard to flashback.
So if the Jace survives a turn, that's a big if, then we like this.
Woof.
And Todd not going to let that happen. No, here's Kalitas. Here's Fiery Impulse. It takes care of Jace.
Despite having 2 Murderous Cuts in his hand, Michael does not have access to any mana to cast them.
Jace will be exiled. Todd turns him into Kalitas turns Jace into a zombie. Just like in the storyline. And Majors will Murderous Cut. Looks like away the Kalitas. Wants to do that before any of his creatures might die, and then gonna have to rebuild. Starts with Elvis Visionary.
Yeah, so the Sifter was going to be exiled either way, just because of the way that Rally the Ancestors works, but at least this way, Todd doesn't get a zombie. With how little Majors actually has going on, that pressure does matter.
Todd reloading. Shambling Vent. Jace. Play of his own. Todd still with so many cards in hand as Jeskai Black really is... I don't know if I've ever seen a Jeskai Black player run out of cards.
It does not happen very often.
You know, you love 9 lands and playing, you're like, oh, still a 5-card hand. Great, I'll cast this Painful Truth. Go to 7 cards.
Yep. Yeah, you also don't see him discard very often. Very efficient ways to interact.
Yeah, they have a lot of 1s and 2s, so as soon as you start to approach that 8-card hand, you can maneuver it so that you just hang out around that 6 or 7 cards all the time.
There's a reason the deck is so good.
And we'll see Todd try to close this one out. He's down to 11. Took a beating early on from his own Painful Truths and from a Catacomb Sifter, but it looks like he has stabilized since then.
Here comes the Shambling Vent, getting that life back.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. Shambling Vent plus Zombie Token will put Majors down to 11, and it's Todd now at 13.
Although we all know that Todd really wants to turn that life back into cards.
It's this engine, right? You turn the life points into cards, which you turn into more life points into, and it's a beautiful cycle.
Yeah, it's practically Necropotence Drain Life.
I like that. Corrupt, Necro Corrupt. I like that one. But you have to play all swamps for that to work.
Or if you're a Pauper fan, Sign in Blood, Grey Merchant of Asphodel.
Oh, wow, yeah, yep. You play a lot of Pauper?
I play an unreasonable amount of Pauper.
All right. I'm assuming you're the Spellstutter Sprite guy in Pauper.
I like Delver, not always in love with Spellstutter Sprite.
All right. But you're doing Islands.
Oh, I'm doing Islands.
Yeah, right.
Islands and
Islands
Quicksands. That's a card that'd be great.
I love talking with people about Pauper because then you start hearing like, man, Quicksand's big in the format.
Quicksand
like,
is
right.
unreal good. They should have that in Standard, actually. It'd be great with its colorless mana matters.
Yeah, you could tap it for your Matter Reshapers and your Thought Knot Seers.
Yep. And then if they attack with Jace, you can kill it.
Hey. The possibilities here. Roast took care of Majors is playing Jace. He tried for one. He needed that to resolve and not die.
Get him.
Not working at the moment. I think Majors... Yep.
Todd chose to block.
Things are getting grim. Merciless Executioner taking care of a zombie token. Todd will get to untap with Jace, and that may just seal it up.
Yep, that's huge.
And Silumgar's Command was the draw for Todd. That's one of the one-ofs that he and Jerry are playing this weekend. The fact that that has a counter-target non-creature spell mode on it should be the insurance policy that Todd was looking for.
Absolutely. And he's only one land shy of actually being able to flashback Painful Truce and leave up Command. Shouldn't be too hard to find that land.
A loot from Jace. That's about going to flip him. Radiant Flames is gone.
Todd has a lot of cards of like somewhat questionable quality in his hand right now. So that was kind of a tough discard because they all might matter in some way. Like looking at Soulfire Grandmaster, it's okay right now. Radiant Flames is like pretty bad right now, but could matter in a minute.
Well, between Silmar's Command and Utter End, he should have an insurance policy against any of Majors' top decks. Utter End can take care of a creature or permanent. Silmar's Command, of course, can counter a non-creature. So he doesn't have many cards, and you're right that he discards it, but I think the few cards he does have are a very good composition for him.
Yeah, and if he just kept the Radiant Flames, all it would do is kill the Executioner, but obviously, and we see it happening already, he's going to find a different way to do that, and then the Grandmaster will serve as a clock.
Yep, so Jace flashes back, gives flashback to Fiery Impulse. Impulse takes care of the Executioner. Grandmaster swings in. Major's down to 6. He's going to try to draw out of it. Here's Elvish Visionary.
Yep, not going to fire up the Shambling Vents because it takes him off of Slumgar's Command. I think that Major's picked up a Dispel. That's something.
Well, that means if Major's top decks are Rally the Ancestors, then we're back in business.
Yep. We have action. We have outs. I don't know if anything will happen. It has to be something very specific here, but...
Shrinks the Visionary. Grandmaster swings in. Major's down to 4. Todd with the second Jace. Can Majors get Rally? Not Rally, but Collected Company was the draw.
It's a draw.
And he's going to go for it right away. And here's the big spell, Silumgar's Command. It's going to try to counter and kill Visionary, but that won't happen.
Now you got to protect those 1/1s.
That was what he was protecting.
Yeah.
It was about the Elvish Visionary.
Well, if it was a Palace Familiar, you could probably just let it go.
See, once again, yeah. In fact, you'd have to. So, the Collected Company will resolve. It finds Reflector Mage and Jace.
Major's wondering what to bounce. Yep.
Bounce Todd's Jace. This is a win for Majors, but he's still got a long way to go. There's a Jace on the table on Todd's side with 4 counters.
Yep. And Majors is just at 4.
If only Todd had Jeskai Charms.
Right? That would just end the game.
Yeah, it'd be easy. Looks like he might be eyeing his own copy of Radiant Flames.
Yeah, he would gain a whole bunch of life. Not that that's super relevant.
Does still have a Painful Truths left in the graveyard, a Silumgar's Command, a Roast.
Ton of options.
Yeah. I don't think he can let Jace stay in play. That's
all that Majors has going on. Company mattered when he drew it last turn, right? It's a fine draw, and Jace has just access to that Collected Company again. He would obviously want Rally more than anything, but giving him access to companies gives him access to the only other draw that really matters in his deck.
So the question is whether or not Todd can play in such a way. I think he wants to give himself an insurance policy against another top-decked Rally.
Yeah, but that's definitely smart.
And that's why we see him go for Painful Truths here and not Radiant Flames.
Yeah. A card that generates good value and a card that wins the game on the spot are very different. And I believe that Todd picked up a Disdainful Stroke here. That's got to wrap this game up.
That's perfect. Well, Todd, now the issues that, we look at the clock, Todd needs to make sure that he can still win.
Right. And with Disdainful Stroke, instead of Slumgar's Command, he's now going to have the ability to attack with Shambling Vent and leave up his counter magic. So that changes his ability to clock Majors a lot.
Yeah. Utter End is spent on the Jace, leaving up exactly 2 mana. This is perfect.
Yep. Looks like a Fleshbag Marauder for Majors.
Believe so. Fleshbag's the draw.
That one's not going to do it.
It won't do it. It's not bad here. It does mean he gets the Jace.
It's true.
So Fleshbag's played. Todd's going to sack. We'll see what Majors gets rid of.
I imagine that we're going to see Majors attack down the remaining Jace here. Probably just have to sacrifice. Well, one of those creatures has power, right? So he just has to attack with one.
Yeah, the thing is, so he has to decide whether or not he wants to play around a cheap kill spell. And he went for the greedy play and was rewarded here.
Yep.
The danger was if he made that sacrifice and then Todd, say, has a Fiery Impulse, well, then Majors doesn't get the Jace.
And like you were saying about Todd, now Majors is actually concerned with winning the game. And he sees that Shambling Vent on Todd's side of the board. Leaving the Visionary in play is not going to help him do that.
Well, he'll draw Visionary. He's rebuilding again. It's a fetch land.
Not great.
Not great. And we know that there's still a Disdainful Stroke on Todd's side, and that's big.
So that's the upside of Visionary. You can't counter it with Disdainful Stroke.
Can Todd gas up again? He's got the blockers with Shambling Vent. He's got Jace. He's got a Disdainful Stroke. Can maybe this would be a great time for it. It'd be Chandra the Flamecaller.
It would be a fantastic time for Chandra the Flamecaller.
That'd be a way to end the game. I'd be down.
And he has Jace in play, so seeing those two together on the battlefield, much more flavorful than the discard that we saw earlier in the match.
You get a Catacomb Sifter on the other side of the board. You can be like, this is how the Battle of the Gatewatch happened. Just blow them up, light them all on fire.
He's shy of Gideon and Nissa, but he's got the two that matter, right? Red and blue are the best ones always.
Yeah. Radiant Flames cleans it up. Yeah, I mean, what was Nissa doing with that battle anyway?
Nissa was entangling the Eldrazi Titans. It's not for nothing.
Okay, but I don't. Yeah, it's like a basketball team needs all 5 players, but Nissa was the one guarding some guy on the perimeter who never got the ball.
As much as I'd love to keep talking about this, looks like we have a result for our match.
Yeah, we do. That one, I mean, that's gonna go. That one's gonna go to Todd Anderson. He is able to close that one off. So 2-1, he defeats Michael Majors in the first match of the day and moves to 3-0 with Jeskai Black.